This is KGW News at 11.
First tonight, breaking news into the newsroom. Police are looking for the person who shot a man in North Portland. Police responded to Dawson Park on North Williams after someone reported hearing gunfire. And here is a look at that scene. Officers later learned a man showed up at the ER with life-threatening gunshot wounds, and they think he was the one shot in the park. Police have not found any suspects yet, so if you saw the shooting or have surveillance video from that area in North Portland, please call Portland Police.
I don't want to, somebody throwing a brick at me. I kind of like my brains. I like to keep them.
Yeah, a lot of people afraid of getting caught in the middle of one of these violent protests downtown. And tonight, one of the mayor's proposed solutions is getting criticism of its own. Good evening, I'm Nina Melhoff in for Laurel tonight. The mayor says his emergency ordinance could help stop violent demonstrations before they start, but there are a lot of questions of whether or not it's constitutional. KGW's Catherine Cook is live at City Hall tonight with how people are reacting. Catherine?
Nina, many believe the mayor's intentions are good, but they wonder why introduce new laws to prevent protest violence and disorderly conduct when laws already exist to do that. Laws they'd like to see enforced.
I am sick and tired of the fighting in the streets.
Patriot Prayer leader Joey Gibson started his news conference suggesting right and left-leaning groups end violence toward each other and instead unite for a common cause, recalling Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler. Never mind that Gibson lives in Vancouver.
And I absolutely despise corrupt politicians. I despise Ted Wheeler, the fact that he consistently lies to both sides. And I want to make this very clear too. This attack that he's making on free speech, it's not on me or Patriot Prayer. It's everybody from left to right.
Gibson's talking about Wheeler's proposed new emergency ordinance. It's designed to stop demonstrations from erupting into violence, like what happened on Saturday between members of Patriot Prayer and Antifa.
There must be sufficient facts that two or more groups plan to demonstrate on the same day, and there's a history of violence between the groups.
I don't want to, somebody throwing a brick at me.
Roger here left downtown early Saturday night to avoid the violence.
As long as you protest without hurting anybody.
So do you think the city needs a new rule to make sure that happens?
I think in a situation like that, they just need more police. I think they got rules up the gazoo. They already got rules for that.
That was the ACLU's point. In a statement, they said in part, inevitably this ordinance will get challenged in court. To be clear, we already have laws against street fighting and violence. Besides that, the ACLU and others question if the ordinance would violate the Constitution.
I'm concerned about escalating violence during protests, but I'm also concerned that limiting protests could have an effect on free speech, a negative impact on free speech.
The City Council will need to vote on that emergency ordinance, but Nina, that won't happen for at least another couple of weeks. Back to you.
All right, Catherine, thank you. And Portland Police are clarifying Mayor Wheeler's comments about a downtown protest from August. Yesterday, he said that some protesters had been stationed on top of a parking garage with a whole bag full of weapons. Well, police are now saying 4 men had several rifles at the garage a few blocks away from that protest. The guns were all in a case. None of them were loaded. All the men had concealed carry permits and let a sergeant even inspect the guns. The men told police they were there to help if people in their group got injured in the nearby protest. Police said they did not break any laws and didn't pose any imminent danger to the public. The Bureau said it is concerned, though, about demonstrators suiting up in armor and carrying weapons. New tonight, Vancouver police are asking you to keep an eye out for this missing woman. Karen Pearson was last seen walking away from a home near downtown Vancouver around 5 o'clock tonight. Police say she needs her medication for a mental health disorder. She is 65, about 5'5" and about 200 pounds with gray hair and blue eyes. If you see her or know where she is, call 911. Portland police are trying to figure out how a man died on a bike path this morning. Police say someone found the man injured on the path near Northeast 122nd and Siskiyou around 7:30 this morning. But the man died before medics got there. Police are calling this case suspicious. They haven't released his name yet. The medical examiner is trying to figure out how he died first. Police are asking anyone with information to give them a call. Also new tonight, Jefferson High School has suspended the Self-Enhancement Inc. program at this school amid allegations of inappropriate conduct by some of the SEI staff. Self-Enhancement Inc. is a nonprofit that helps African American students in Portland. An employee filed a lawsuit against the nonprofit last week, claiming she witnessed colleagues at Jefferson talking about dating students, touching them inappropriately, and other misconduct. Self-Enhancement denies the allegations, saying these have been investigated multiple times without corroboration over a period of several months prior to the filing of this lawsuit. A Portland Public Schools spokesperson said in a statement in part, "We consider PPS student and staff safety to be our highest responsibility and priority, and we have taken immediate steps in response to the allegations contained within the lawsuit." We have got a sad follow-up to a story that we first covered here several years ago. A girl who survived a plane crash and then 3 days in the wilderness 3 years ago is in the hospital tonight after a drug overdose. You may remember the story of Veatch. In 2015, she was riding in a small plane with her grandparents over central Washington when they crashed and her grandparents died. Autumn survived 3 days in the wilderness alone before she found a highway and was rescued. Now today, 19-year-old Autumn is in critical condition, recovering from a coma caused by a drug overdose this October. Her father says she never recovered from that crash.
She overdosed. She actually died. Paramedics gave her CPR, brought her back, but we don't know how long she was gone.
I'm just really rooting for her to wake up because I don't really know what life is going to be like if she doesn't.
Her father suggested the unwanted fame and notoriety she gained after the crash contributed to her overdose. Astoria has passed a ban on homeless camping now in the forest. The city passed the ordinance because more and more people were living in the woods around Astoria. Neighbors complained about thefts and needles, and police said it would become very dangerous for campers once the rain starts. The ordinance closes a loophole that banned camping in city parks, but didn't apply to the city's forests. One day after Paul Allen's death, and we're hearing more about the impact he had on Oregon and the world that went far beyond sports. Allen, of course, owned the Portland Trail Blazers and the Seattle Seahawks, and there are questions about what happens next. But as KGW's Pat Doris reports, it is clear Paul Allen was personally involved, and his loss will be felt in very personal ways.
Paul Allen was the type of owner who got a basketball team not for the investment, but for the love of the game and the process of putting together a team. General Manager Neil O'Shea will remember sitting next to the owner during the games.
And he lived and died with every dribble and every outcome. And what was interesting about Joe wasn't just the outcome for the team and the game. It was guys he wanted to see well. You know, guys that he had given contracts to, or guys that were up for contracts, or guys come back from injuries, that he really had a personal affinity and connection to these guys.
Allen's interests and finances, of course, expanded beyond the Blazers. He donated money to OHSU for TV screens and music to make it easier for patients waiting for cancer screening. And he backed doctors doing Alzheimer's research. And he made trips to Ashland, where he supported the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, a place he had visited several times as a boy with his sister and his mom.
The wonderful thing, Paul would come often. He would do last-minute trips when he found that he could get down here, and it was wonderful to have him on campus. I think we felt like sometimes he would just come even by himself and see plays.
Allen donated $11 million to the festival, which named the big outdoor stage in honor of his family.
And the Blazers are working on several ways to honor Paul Allen, including a patch for their jerseys and a moment of silence at their home opener this Thursday. And don't expect to see anyone sitting in his usual seat under the basket, because it'll stay empty. Today we got a chance to talk to some of the Blazer players about Paul Allen. Players told us they were shocked and saddened by the news. Today at practice, they talked about how they remember him, including his passion for the team.
When he came to the practice facility, you know, I would expect it to be like, you know, Dame, how's the team doing? What's going on? But he would always ask me how I was doing. And Even when I met with him last season at the arena, the first 15 minutes I was there, he was asking me how I was doing. So, I think it just, like I said, it's saddening, to know that a great person like that had to go.
Loss is never easy, but, if you embrace the person that they were, try to take something, their values and, how much passion he had and, carry that throughout the season, I think it would be, he's looking down and proud.
Head coach Terry Stotts said the best tribute the team could give Allen would be a great season. We also caught up with Bill Schonely, the legendary play-by-play announcer for the Blazers. Schonely was there when Allen bought the Blazers in 1988, and he says people weren't sure what to think after the 35-year-old bought the team, but that quickly changed.
He was a quiet man, a good man. He didn't run up and down the sidelines. He didn't holler and shout like some owners who have sports franchises. He loved this team. He loved the Portland area. He loved the Portland Trailblazers.
Allen was at games when he could be and watched a live stream when he couldn't make it. Schonely has one last message for the Blazers owner.
I know one thing. Paul Allen made his free throws. There's no doubt about that. So, Paul, from all of us in Rip City, rest in peace.
Well said, Mr. Schonely. Coming up, a beloved front porch decoration is picked from a porch right under a family's nose. Now they're asking for help sniffing out the thief. Then the governor unveils a plan to prepare Oregon for the big earthquake, the first thing you should be doing to get ready. Plus, a college basketball player's fighting spirit helped her recover from a devastating car crash, and today she went back to thank the people who saved her life and had a little firehouse fun in the process.